The sun, a molten ball of fire, clawed its way over the jagged peaks of the Drakensberg, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple. This was the dawn that greeted Embo, a village nestled deep within the folds of the mountains, a place where the ancient rhythms of life beat strong. Here, the Zulu people lived in harmony with the land, their lives governed by the seasons, their spirits intertwined with the ancestral world. But this harmony was fragile, a delicate balance easily disrupted. The very air crackled with a sense of unease, a subtle tremor in the earth that spoke of a darkness stirring beneath the surface. The elders, their faces etched with the wisdom of years and the worry of presentiments, whispered of a malevolent force, a Tokoloshe awakened from its slumber, its hunger insatiable. At the heart of Embo lived Thando, a young woman whose spirit burned brighter than the morning sun. Her hands, calloused from working the land, were also skilled in the ancient arts of healing, her knowledge of herbs and remedies passed down through generations. She possessed a deep connection to the land, her heart attuned to the subtle shifts in its energy. She sensed the growing darkness, the creeping fear that threatened to engulf her village, and her soul cried out for a solution. Her brother, Beki, a warrior of unmatched strength and agility, carried the weight of responsibility on his broad shoulders. He was a protector, his loyalty to his family and his people unwavering. But beneath his stoic exterior lay a deep-seated fear, a haunting memory of a past tragedy that had left a scar on his soul. He felt the growing unease, the palpable fear that gripped his village, and his warrior's heart yearned to fight against it. The village chief, Yubabazola, a man of immense stature and wisdom, watched as his people began to succumb to the creeping dread. He had led Embo through many trials, his decisions always guided by the teachings of his ancestors, his heart always focused on the well-being of his community. But even his wisdom was tested by the growing darkness, the malevolent presence that threatened to consume everything he held dear. He sought guidance from the ancestors, his prayers echoing through the valleys, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibility. The Sangoma, Ugogo Namsa, a woman of profound spiritual insight, felt the disturbance in the spirit world, a malevolent energy that resonated deep within her soul. She warned the villagers of the Tokoloshe, its terrifying power, its insatiable hunger for fear and despair. She spoke of the ancient rituals, the sacred herbs, the power of the ancestors, but her words were met with a growing sense of dread. The initial conflict arose not from a single event, but from a slow, insidious creep of darkness. The crops began to wither, their leaves turning brown and brittle, their fruit rotting on the vine. The livestock grew thin and weak, their eyes vacant and lifeless. The laughter of children faded, replaced by the whispers of fear. The songs of the women grew silent, replaced by the moans of the sick. The village, once vibrant and full of life, began to crumble under the weight of the Tokoloshe's malevolence. The narrative hook lies in the growing despair, the palpable sense of hopelessness that gripped the people of Embo. The question that hangs in the air is not if the village will fall, but how, and if anyone will be brave enough to stand against the darkness. The ancient traditions and the spiritual connection of the Zulu people will be tested, the strength of their community will be challenged, and the fate of Embo will hang precariously in the balance. Embo, a village cradled by the majestic Drakensberg Mountains, was a world unto itself. The towering peaks, their faces scarred by time and weather, formed a natural fortress, isolating the village from the outside world. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of wild herbs and the faint echo of distant waterfalls. The village itself was a collection of mud and thatch huts, nestled amongst the rolling hills, their vibrant colors a testament to the Zulu culture that thrived within. The fields surrounding the village were a patchwork of green and gold, the lifeblood of the community, providing sustenance and a sense of belonging. The nearby river, the life source of Embo, flowed with a gentle rhythm, its waters clear and cool, reflecting the sky above. This was a place where the natural world was revered, where the spirits of the ancestors were believed to roam freely, where the balance between the living and the spiritual was paramount. Thando, the young healer, was not just a woman of skill, but also a woman of deep empathy. She had lost her mother at a young age, a tragedy that had instilled in her a profound understanding of pain and loss. This experience had fueled her desire to heal, to ease the suffering of others, to protect her community from the ravages of illness and despair. She spent her days tending to the sick, her hands gentle, her touch soothing, her knowledge of herbs and remedies extensive. She had a deep connection to the earth, her intuition guiding her, her spirit attuned to the subtle shifts in its energy. She was respected by the villagers, her wisdom sought by the elders, her kindness cherished by all. Beki, the warrior, was a man of few words, his actions speaking louder than any pronouncements. He had witnessed the death of his father in a brutal raid when he was a boy, an event that had scarred him deeply, leaving him with a constant sense of responsibility and a burning desire to protect his family and his village. He had trained tirelessly, honing his skills in combat, his body a weapon of deadly precision, his mind focused on the task at hand. He was a leader, his courage unwavering, his loyalty absolute, his strength unmatched. But beneath his warrior exterior lay a deep vulnerability, a fear of losing those he loved, a haunting memory of the past that threatened to consume him. Baba Zola, the chief, was a man of great wisdom and integrity, his decisions always guided by the teachings of his ancestors. He had inherited the chieftaincy from his father, a responsibility he carried with grace and humility. He was a father figure to all, his presence a source of comfort and security, his words carrying the weight of tradition and the wisdom of experience. He had seen the village through many trials, his strength and resolve unwavering, his love for his people boundless. But he was also a man burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, the knowledge that the fate of his village rested on his shoulders, the fear of failing his people in their time of need. Gogo Namsa, the Sangoma, was a woman of immense spiritual power, her connection to the ancestral world profound and unwavering. She had spent her life studying the ancient traditions, her knowledge of the spirit world extensive, her intuition sharp and precise. She was the spiritual guide of the village, her wisdom sought by all, her rituals a source of comfort and protection. She had seen visions of the Tokoloshe, its malevolent power, its insatiable hunger for fear and despair, and she knew that the village was in grave danger. Her initial motivation was to protect her community, to use her spiritual gifts to fight against the darkness, to guide her people through the trials that lay ahead. The characters, each with their unique backstories and motivations, were bound together by their shared heritage, their deep connection to the land, and their unwavering loyalty to their village. They were the heart and soul of Embo, and their fate was intertwined with the destiny of their community. As the Tokoloshe's grip tightened, Embo's despair deepened. Thando discovered ancient texts revealing the creature's weakness, a sacrifice fueled by pure love. Beki, haunted by his father's death, secretly blamed himself, believing he attracted the Tokoloshe. Baba Zola, facing mounting pressure, revealed a hidden family lineage tied to the creature's origins, a secret that could shatter the village's faith in him. Gogo Namsa, in a trance, saw a vision. The Tokoloshe wasn't just a malevolent spirit, but a corrupted ancestor, seeking vengeance for a forgotten wrong. The village was no longer just battling a monster, but its own history, its own secrets, its own broken bonds. The immediate goal for the people of Embo became survival, a desperate fight against the encroaching darkness. Thando, driven by her compassion, sought to find a way to weaken the Tokoloshe, delving deeper into the ancient texts, searching for any clue that could help them. Her initial obstacle was the lack of resources, the dwindling supply of herbs and remedies, and the growing fear that was paralyzing the villagers. She needed to find a way to restore hope, to inspire them to fight alongside her, to find the courage within themselves to overcome the darkness. Beki, his warrior's heart yearning for action, aimed to confront the Tokoloshe directly, believing that a physical battle was the only way to defeat the creature. His initial obstacle was his own internal struggle, the haunting memories of his past, the fear that he would fail his people, that he would repeat the mistakes of his father. He needed to find a way to control his fear, to channel his anger into action, to become the protector that his village needed. Baba Zola, burdened by the secret of his lineage, sought to protect his people from the truth, believing that it would shatter their faith in him. His goal was to maintain order, to keep the village united, to guide them through this crisis with wisdom and strength. His initial obstacle was the growing suspicion of the villagers, their fear turning into distrust, their loyalty wavering. He needed to find a way to reveal the truth without destroying the community, to find a way to regain their trust, to prove that he was still worthy of their leadership. Gogo Namsa, guided by her vision, aimed to find a way to appease the corrupted ancestor, to break the cycle of vengeance, to restore balance to the spirit world. Her initial obstacle was the lack of clarity, the fragmented nature of her visions, the difficulty in understanding the Tokoloshe's motives. She needed to find a way to decipher the clues, to connect with the spirit of the ancestor, to understand the root of the darkness. A relevant subplot emerged around the relationship between Thando and Beki, their shared history, their unspoken feelings for each other. Thando, witnessing Becky's internal struggle, tried to offer him comfort, her compassion a balm to his wounded soul. Beki, drawn to Thando's strength and kindness, found solace in her presence, her support a source of encouragement. Their relationship deepened, their connection becoming stronger, their bond a source of hope in the face of despair. However, their differing approaches to the crisis, Thando's focus on healing and Becky's focus on combat, created a tension, a conflict that threatened to pull them apart. Another subplot developed around the growing suspicion of the villagers towards Baba Zola, their faith in his leadership waning as the crisis worsened. Some whispered of his lineage, their distrust fueled by the fear of the unknown, their loyalty tested by the weight of the secret. This subplot highlighted the fragility of community, the importance of trust, and the devastating consequences of secrets and lies. The initial development of the plot set the stage for the challenges ahead, the goals of the characters clearly defined, the obstacles they faced significant and daunting. The subplots added depth and complexity to the narrative, exploring the dynamics between the characters, the tensions within the community, and the underlying themes of love, loyalty, and betrayal. The stage was set for the characters to face their fears, to confront the darkness, to fight for their survival and the future of their village. The inciting incident that shattered the fragile peace of Embo came not with a roar, but with a chilling silence. It was the day the river, the lifeblood of the village, stopped flowing. The gentle murmur that had always accompanied their lives was replaced by an eerie stillness, the riverbed now a cracked and barren wasteland. This unprecedented event sent shockwaves through the village, the villagers' initial fear escalating into a full-blown panic. The crops, already withered, now had no source of nourishment. The livestock, already weakened, now had no water to drink. The very foundation of their existence was threatened, their survival hanging precariously in the balance. The disruption was not just physical, but also spiritual. The silence of the river, a sign of a profound imbalance, a clear indication that the Tokoloshe's power was growing stronger. Thando, witnessing the devastation, felt a surge of urgency, her compassion driving her to find a solution. She realized that the ancient texts she had been studying held the key to understanding the Tokoloshe's power, that the creature was somehow connected to the river, that its malevolence was draining the life force of the land. Her motivation shifted from finding a way to weaken the Tokoloshe to finding a way to restore the river, to bring back the life that had been stolen from her village. She knew that time was running out, that she had to act quickly, that the fate of her people rested on her shoulders. Beki, seeing the suffering of his people, felt a surge of anger, his warrior's spirit demanding action. He realized that waiting for a solution was no longer an option, that he had to confront the Tokoloshe directly, that he had to fight for the survival of his village. His motivation shifted from protecting his people to destroying the creature, to ending the terror that had gripped their lives. He was no longer just a protector, but a warrior on a mission, his heart filled with rage, his body ready for battle. Baba Zola, witnessing the despair of his people, felt the weight of his secret pressing down on him, his fear of exposure intensifying. He realized that he could no longer hide the truth, that he had to reveal his lineage, that he had to trust his people to understand. His motivation shifted from protecting his secret to protecting his people, to leading them through this crisis with honesty and courage. He knew that the truth could shatter their faith in him, but he also knew that it was the only way to unite them, to face the darkness together. He had to prove that he was still worthy of their leadership, that his lineage did not define him, that his love for his people was unwavering. Gogo Namsa, sensing the urgency of the situation, felt a surge of spiritual power, her connection to the ancestral world intensifying. She realized that the corrupted ancestor was not just seeking vengeance, but also seeking redemption, that there was a way to break the cycle of darkness, to restore balance to the spirit world. Her motivation shifted from understanding the Tokoloshe to finding a way to appease the ancestor, to offer a path to redemption, to bring peace to the spirit world. She had to find a way to communicate with the ancestor, to understand its pain, to offer a way to break free from the darkness. The silence of the river was the catalyst, the inciting incident that propelled the story forward, that forced the characters to take action, that altered the status quo of their lives. It was the moment when their individual goals converged, when their motivations aligned, when their destinies became intertwined. The urgency of the situation created a sense of desperation, the need for immediate action, the realization that time was running out. The villagers, witnessing the devastation, knew that they had to fight for their survival, that they had to overcome the darkness, that they had to restore the life that had been stolen from them. The stage was set for the characters to face their fears, to confront the Tokoloshe, to fight for their village and their future. The immediate consequence of the river's silence was a desperate scramble for survival. The villagers, driven by thirst and hunger, began to turn on each other, their fear morphing into distrust and resentment. The once unified community started to fracture, the bonds of kinship and loyalty strained to their breaking point. Thando, witnessing the disintegration of her village, felt a renewed sense of urgency, her compassion fueling her determination to find a solution. She embarked on a perilous journey to the sacred caves, a place where the ancient texts were believed to be hidden, hoping to find a way to restore the river and break the Tokoloshe's hold on the land. Her journey was fraught with danger, the terrain treacherous, the spirits restless, the Tokoloshe's influence palpable. Beiki, frustrated by his inability to directly confront the Tokoloshe, became increasingly reckless, his anger driving him to seek out the creature, his actions bordering on self-destruction. He ventured into the forbidden forest, a place where the shadows danced and the spirits whispered, hoping to lure the Tokoloshe into a battle. His journey was filled with encounters with wild animals, his strength tested to its limits, his courage challenged by the fear that lurked in the darkness. He was no longer just a warrior, but a man driven by rage, his actions fueled by a desperate need to protect his people, his soul consumed by the darkness that surrounded him. Baba Zola, haunted by the weight of his secret, decided to reveal his lineage to the village. His confession met with a mixture of shock, anger, and disbelief. Some villagers turned against him, their trust shattered, their loyalty replaced by hatred. Others, recognizing his sincerity, rallied to his side, their faith in him unwavering. The village was now divided, the conflict no longer just against the Tokoloshe, but also within the community itself. He had to prove that his lineage did not define him, that his love for his people was genuine, that he was still worthy of their leadership. Gogo Namsa, guided by her visions, discovered a new clue, a hidden symbol etched into the ancient texts, a sign that pointed to the location of the corrupted ancestor's resting place. She realized that the key to appeasing the ancestor was not just understanding its pain, but also offering it a way to break free from the cycle of darkness. Her journey led her to the forgotten burial grounds, a place where the spirits of the ancestors lingered, the air thick with the weight of the past. She had to find a way to communicate with the ancestor, to offer it a path to redemption, to restore balance to the spirit world. A new character emerged in the form of Zola, a young warrior from a neighboring village, drawn to Embo by the tales of the Tokoloshe's terror. He was a skilled fighter, his body honed to perfection, his spirit fearless, his loyalty unwavering. He offered his assistance to Beiki, his presence a source of support and strength, his skills a valuable asset in the fight against the Tokoloshe. He was an outsider, his perspective fresh, his insights valuable, his presence a catalyst for change. A subplot developed around the relationship between Thando and Zola, their shared compassion, their mutual respect for each other. Thando, drawn to Zola's strength and kindness, found solace in his presence, his support a source of encouragement. Beiki, witnessing their connection, felt a pang of jealousy, his insecurities fueling his anger, his actions becoming more reckless. The rising action was marked by a series of escalating challenges, the consequences of the initial events pushing the characters to their limits, their motivations deepening, their relationships tested. The introduction of new characters and the emergence of subplots added complexity to the narrative, the conflict no longer just external, but also internal, the fate of Embo hanging precariously in the balance. Thando's journey to the sacred caves became a desperate race against time. She faced treacherous terrain, the spirits of the ancestors testing her resolve, the Tokoloshe's influence attempting to lure her into a trap. She discovered the ancient texts, but they were fragmented, their meaning obscured, their secrets guarded by riddles and illusions. Her challenge was not just to find the answers, but to decipher them, to understand the true nature of the Tokoloshe, to find the key to restoring the river. The stakes were higher than ever, the fate of her village resting on her ability to succeed, her own life hanging precariously in the balance. Becky's reckless pursuit of the Tokoloshe led him to a confrontation with a pack of monstrous hyenas, creatures twisted by the Tokoloshe's dark magic. He fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, his strength and skill tested to their limits, his anger fueling his every move. He managed to defeat the hyenas, but not without sustaining grievous wounds, his body broken, his spirit exhausted. He was no longer just a warrior seeking a fight, but a man on the brink of collapse, his actions driven by a desperate need to prove his worth, his soul teetering on the edge of darkness. Baba Zola's attempt to unite the village was met with further resistance, the divisions within the community deepening, the distrust and resentment growing stronger. He was challenged by a faction of villagers, led by a disgruntled elder who sought to overthrow him, believing that his lineage made him unfit to lead. His dilemma was not just to prove his loyalty, but to maintain order, to prevent the village from tearing itself apart, to guide his people through this crisis with integrity and compassion. He was no longer just a chief, but a man fighting for his position, his actions driven by a desperate need to protect his community, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibilities. Gogo Namsa's journey to the forgotten burial grounds was filled with terrifying visions, the spirits of the ancestors whispering secrets of the past, the corrupted ancestor's pain echoing through the air. She discovered that the ancestor was not just seeking vengeance, but also seeking forgiveness, that its malevolence was fueled by a deep-seated sorrow. Her challenge was not just to appease the ancestor, but to understand its pain, to offer a path to redemption, to restore balance to the spirit world. She was no longer just a Sangoma seeking answers, but a spiritual guide on a mission of mercy, her actions driven by a desperate need to bring peace to the troubled spirits, her soul filled with compassion. The relationship between Thando and Zola deepened, their shared compassion and mutual respect blossoming into a profound connection, their support for each other a source of strength and hope. Beiki, witnessing their bond, felt a surge of jealousy, his insecurities fueling his anger, his actions becoming more reckless. He confronted Zola, his rage threatening to erupt into violence, his actions driven by a desperate need to prove his worth, his soul consumed by the darkness that surrounded him. The subplot of their love triangle added another layer of complexity to the narrative, the personal conflicts intertwined with a larger struggle against the Tokoloshe. The rising action escalated the stakes, the challenges becoming more difficult, the conflicts more intense, the tension among the characters reaching a breaking point. The subplots intertwined, the personal struggles of the characters mirroring the larger conflict, the fate of Embo hanging precariously in the balance. The characters were pushed to their limits, their motivations deepening, their relationships tested, their their destinies intertwined. The stage was set for the climax, the final confrontation with the Tokoloshe, the moment when the fate of the village would be decided. Thando, after days of relentless searching, finally deciphered the ancient texts, discovering the true nature of the Tokoloshe. It was not merely a malevolent spirit, but a manifestation of a corrupted ancestor, a warrior who had betrayed his people centuries ago. The texts revealed that the only way to appease the ancestor and restore the river was through a sacrifice of pure love, a selfless act that would break the cycle of vengeance. Her turning point came when she realized that she was the one who had to make the sacrifice. Her love for her village, her compassion for her people, her unwavering dedication to healing, all culminating in a moment of profound selflessness. She understood that her life was a small price to pay for the salvation of Embo. Beki, on the brink of death, was rescued by Zola, who nursed him back to health, their bond forged in the crucible of battle. He was forced to confront his own demons, his anger and recklessness replaced by a sense of humility and understanding. He realized that his desire for revenge had blinded him, that his true strength lay not in his ability to fight, but in his ability to protect. His turning point came when he recognized the true meaning of sacrifice, the willingness to lay down one's life for the sake of others. He understood that he had to let go of his past, to embrace his present, to fight not for himself, but for his village. Baba Zola, facing a growing rebellion, decided to step down from his position, his leadership challenged, his authority undermined. He confessed his lineage to the entire village, revealing the truth about his connection to the corrupted ancestor. He urged the villagers to choose a new leader, one who could unite them, one who could guide them through this crisis with wisdom and integrity. His turning point came when he recognized that his own personal struggles were hindering the village, that his own ego was standing in the way of their salvation. He understood that true leadership was not about power, but about service, about putting the needs of his people above his own. Gogo Namsa, guided by her visions, finally reached the corrupted ancestor's resting place, a desolate and forgotten burial ground, the air thick with the weight of the past. She communicated with the ancestor, offering it a path to redemption, a way to break free from the cycle of darkness. Her turning point came when she realized that the ancestor was not beyond forgiveness, that even the most corrupted souls could find peace, that even the darkest of hearts could be redeemed. She understood that her role was not just to fight against the darkness, but to offer hope, to bring light to the darkest corners of the spirit world. The subplots converged, the characters' individual journeys intertwined, their destinies inextricably linked. Thando and Zola, their love for each other a source of strength, vowed to stand together, their bond a symbol of hope in the face of despair. Beki, humbled by his near-death experience, pledged his loyalty to the village, his anger replaced by a sense of purpose, his recklessness replaced by a newfound wisdom. The rising action culminated in a series of pivotal moments, the characters transformed by their experiences, their motivations deepened, their relationships tested, their destinies sealed. The stage was set for the climax, the final confrontation with the Tokoloshe, the moment when the fate of Embo would be decided. The village was on the brink, the characters ready to face their ultimate challenge, the sacrifice looming large, the outcome uncertain. The village of Embo, aware of the impending sacrifice, began its preparations for the final confrontation. The villagers, their fear replaced by a sense of resolve, gathered the remaining resources, their actions driven by a shared sense of purpose. They sharpened their spears, repaired their shields, and chanted ancient war songs, their voices echoing through the valleys, their hearts filled with a mixture of dread and determination. They knew that the battle ahead would be perilous, that their survival depended on their unity, their courage, their willingness to fight for their village. Thando, knowing her fate, spent her final hours with her loved ones, her heart filled with both sadness and peace. She shared her knowledge of healing with the younger generation, her wisdom passed down, her legacy secured. She bid farewell to Beki, her brother, her heart heavy with sorrow, her love for him unwavering. She shared a tender moment with Zola, their unspoken love a silent promise, their bond a testament to the power of human connection. She was ready to embrace her destiny, her sacrifice a testament to her love for her people. Beki, now humbled and determined, gathered the remaining warriors, his leadership skills honed by his recent experiences. He trained them in the ancient arts of combat, their movements synchronized, their strength united. He shared his knowledge of the Tokoloshe's weaknesses, his insights valuable, his guidance crucial. He was ready to fight alongside his people, his purpose clear, his heart filled with a sense of duty, his soul ready to face the darkness. He was no longer just a warrior seeking revenge, but a protector fighting for the survival of his village. Baba Zola, having stepped down from his position, became a source of wisdom and guidance, his experience invaluable, his advice sought by all. He mediated between the warring factions, his words soothing the anger, his presence calming the fear. He shared his knowledge of the village's history, his insights illuminating the path forward, his leadership unwavering, even in his absence. He was ready to support his people, his ego set aside, his heart filled with love, his soul at peace. He was no longer just a chief, but a leader in spirit, his legacy secured by his actions. Gogo Namsa, having communicated with the corrupted ancestor, shared her understanding of its pain, her insights illuminating the path to redemption. She revealed that the ancestor was not beyond forgiveness, that its malevolence was fueled by a deep-seated sorrow, that the sacrifice was not just about death, but about healing. She prepared the sacred herbs and amulets, her rituals performed with precision, her spiritual power at its peak. She was ready to guide her people through the final confrontation, her connection to the spirit world unwavering, her soul filled with hope. A minor confrontation occurred when a group of villagers, still harboring distrust towards Baba Zola, attempted to sabotage the preparations, their actions fueled by fear and resentment. Beki, leading the warriors, intervened, his strength and authority preventing further disruption, his loyalty to his people unwavering. This minor conflict served as a reminder of the fragility of community, the importance of trust, the devastating consequences of fear and division. The build-up to the climax was marked by a sense of anticipation, the characters preparing for the final confrontation, their individual journeys converging, their destinies intertwined. The stage was set for the major resolutions, the sacrifice looming large, the outcome uncertain, the fate of Embo hanging precariously in the balance. The characters were ready to face their ultimate challenge, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and dread, their souls ready to embrace their destiny. The final hours before the sacrifice were filled with a palpable tension, the air thick with anticipation, the silence broken only by the rhythmic beat of drums, a somber reminder of the impending event. Thando, despite her acceptance of her fate, felt a deep sadness, her heart heavy with the knowledge that she would never see her loved ones again. She spent her last moments sharing stories with the children, her laughter masking her sorrow, her words filled with wisdom and hope. She was ready to embrace her destiny, her sacrifice a testament to her unwavering love for her people, her legacy etched in the hearts of those she would leave behind. Beki, despite his newfound humility, felt a surge of anger, his warrior spirit yearning to fight, his desire to protect his sister, overwhelming his sense of duty. He questioned the necessity of the sacrifice, his heart rebelling against the injustice of it all. He sought guidance from Baba Zola, his doubts weighing heavily on his soul, his need for reassurance palpable. He was ready to fight, but his heart was torn, his love for his sister battling his sense of responsibility to his village. He was no longer just a protector, but a man facing an impossible choice, his soul teetering on the edge of despair. Baba Zola, despite his peace with his decision, felt a pang of regret, his leadership challenged, his authority undermined. He questioned his past actions, his secret lineage a burden on his soul, his responsibility to his people a heavy weight on his heart. He sought guidance from Ugogo Namsa, his doubts weighing heavily on his mind, his need for forgiveness palpable. He was ready to accept his fate, but his heart was filled with a mixture of regret and hope, his legacy forever intertwined with the fate of his village. He was no longer just a leader, but a man seeking redemption, his soul longing for peace. Gogo Namsa, despite her spiritual strength, felt a surge of empathy, her connection to the corrupted ancestor intensifying, her understanding of its pain overwhelming her senses. She questioned the fairness of the sacrifice, her heart aching for both the living and the dead, her soul longing for balance. She prepared the sacred herbs and amulets, her rituals performed with precision, her spiritual power at its peak. She was ready to guide her people through the final confrontation, but her heart was heavy with the knowledge of the sacrifice, her soul yearning for a different path. She was no longer just a Sangoma, but a spiritual guide on a mission of mercy, her actions driven by a deep sense of compassion, her soul filled with both hope and sorrow. A final challenge emerged when the Tokoloshe, sensing the impending sacrifice, unleashed its full power, its dark magic engulfing the village, its malevolence threatening to consume everything they held dear. The villagers, their fear momentarily returning, huddled together, their hope dwindling, their courage tested to its limits. This final act of terror served as a reminder of the darkness they faced, the importance of their unity, the necessity of their sacrifice. The final tensions were palpable, the characters facing their last challenges, their emotional stakes at their peak, their narrative threads ready to converge in the climax. The stage was set for the final confrontation, the sacrifice looming large, the outcome uncertain, the fate of Embo hanging precariously in the balance. The characters were ready to face their ultimate challenge, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and dread, their souls prepared to embrace their destiny. The climax of the story arrived with the first rays of dawn, the sky painted in hues of gray and purple, the air thick with anticipation. Thando, adorned in sacred garments, walked towards the riverbed, her steps measured, her heart filled with both sorrow and resolve. The villagers, their faces etched with grief, formed a circle around her, their silence a testament to their love and respect. The Tokoloshe, sensing its impending defeat, unleashed its full power, its dark magic swirling around them, its malevolence palpable. The earth trembled, the air crackled with energy, the very fabric of reality seemed to tear apart. The decisive confrontation was not a physical battle, but a spiritual one, a test of love against hate, a battle of light against darkness. Thando, with a final glance at her loved ones, stepped into the dried riverbed, her voice echoing through the valleys as she chanted the ancient words of sacrifice, her spirit soaring, her love for her people unwavering. Her body began to glow with an ethereal light, her essence transforming, her sacrifice a beacon of hope in the darkness. The Tokoloshe roared in frustration, its power diminishing, its form becoming unstable, its malevolence slowly dissipating. The riverbed began to tremble, the earth cracked, and from the depths, water began to flow, the lifeblood of Embo restored, the darkness receding, the light returning. The main conflict was resolved not through violence, but through love, the power of sacrifice proving to be stronger than any darkness. Beki, witnessing his sister's sacrifice, felt a surge of both grief and gratitude, his heart filled with both sorrow and pride. He understood the true meaning of her act, the power of selfless love, the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. He vowed to honor her memory, to protect his village, to lead his people with wisdom and compassion. He took his place as the new leader of Embo, his strength tempered with humility, his courage guided by love, his soul forever changed by his sister's sacrifice. His subplot of personal redemption culminated in his transformation from a warrior driven by revenge to a leader guided by love. Baba Zola, witnessing the restoration of the river, felt a sense of peace, his heart filled with both regret and hope. He understood the true meaning of his lineage, the burden he had carried, the responsibility he had fulfilled. He pledged his loyalty to the new leader, his experience invaluable, his guidance unwavering. His subplot of leadership and redemption culminated in his acceptance of his past, his embrace of his present, his hope for the future. Gogo Namsa, witnessing the appeasement of the corrupted ancestor, felt a sense of balance, her spirit filled with both sorrow and joy. She understood the true meaning of forgiveness, the power of redemption, the importance of honoring the ancestors. She continued to guide her people, her wisdom and spiritual knowledge a source of strength and comfort, her legacy secured by her compassion and her unwavering faith. Her subplot of spiritual guidance culminated in her restoration of balance to the spirit world, her legacy a testament to her connection to the ancestors. The climax of the story brought decisive resolutions to the main conflicts and subplots, the characters' journeys culminating in moments of profound transformation, their sacrifices ensuring the survival and prosperity of their village. And now, the call to action. Remember Thando, remember Beki, remember Yubabazola, and remember Ugogo Namsa. Remember their courage, their sacrifice, their love for their people. Let their story be a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the power of love and community can overcome any obstacle. Let their legacy inspire you to be brave, to be compassionate, to be willing to fight for what you believe in, to be willing to sacrifice for the greater good. Go forth and be the heroes of your own stories. The immediate aftermath of Thando's sacrifice was a period of profound mourning, the villagers grappling with their grief, their hearts heavy with the loss of their beloved healer. But amidst the sorrow, there was also a sense of hope, a renewed appreciation for life, a deeper understanding of the power of love and sacrifice. The river flowed once more, its waters cleansing the land, its life-giving force restoring the village to its former glory. The crops grew lush and vibrant, the livestock thrived, and the laughter of children once again echoed through the valleys, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a symbol of the triumph of light over darkness. Beki, now the chief of Embo, led his people with wisdom and compassion, his leadership guided by the lessons he had learned, his heart forever marked by his sister's sacrifice. He established a council of elders, their wisdom and experience guiding his decisions, their unity a source of strength for the village. He honored Thando's memory by establishing a school of healing, her teachings passed down through generations, her legacy secured by her selfless act of love. He was no longer just a warrior, but a leader, a protector, a beacon of hope for his people, his actions guided by the memory of his sister, his heart filled with love and gratitude. Baba Zola, now an elder of the village, became a source of wisdom and guidance, his experience invaluable, his advice sought by all. He shared his knowledge of the village's history, his insights illuminating the path forward, his presence a reminder of the importance of honesty and integrity. He found peace with his past, his lineage no longer a burden, his heart filled with love and acceptance. He was no longer just a chief, but a respected elder, his legacy secured by his willingness to serve his people, his soul at peace. Gogo Namsa, the village's spiritual guide, continued to connect with the ancestral world, her wisdom and knowledge a source of comfort and strength for her people. She taught them the importance of honoring their ancestors, the power of forgiveness, the necessity of maintaining balance in the spirit world. She found peace with her role, her connection to the spiritual realm a source of inspiration, her legacy secured by her unwavering faith and her profound compassion. She was no longer just a Sangoma, but a spiritual leader, her guidance a beacon of hope for her people, her soul filled with love and understanding. The epilogue of the story is one of reflection and renewal, the village of Embo forever changed by the events that had transpired, its people stronger, more united, more compassionate. The memory of the Tokoloshe served as a reminder of the darkness they had faced, the fear they had overcome, the sacrifice that had been made for their freedom. The story of Thando, the healer who had sacrificed herself for her people, became a legend, a tale passed down through generations, a reminder of the power of love, the importance of sacrifice, the enduring strength of the human spirit. Her name was forever etched in the hearts of her people, her memory forever revered, her sacrifice forever honored. The village of Embo thrived, its people living in harmony with the land, their lives guided by the lessons they had learned, their future secured by their courage and their love. Let the story of Embo be a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the human spirit can endure, that love and sacrifice can conquer all, that hope can prevail even in the most desperate of circumstances. Remember the lessons of this story, Let them guide your actions, inspire your choices, and illuminate your path. Go forth and be the light in the darkness. Be the heroes of your own lives. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Let the spirit of Embo live on through you.